So we're just thinking about, like, if you're buying timber, you know, like buying slab timber or any timber, doesn't matter. We're thinking about the diameter of the tree, right? So you look at that thing there, and then if you did measure the diameter of this camphor, this is all camphor, by the way. Right, I'm not putting shit on anyone. I'm just saying. So we're looking at the diameters of what you're going to call a tree. So this one comes in, it's probably about 260 diameter, like across the middle, 260 millimeter. You know, like 10.5 inches. It's like, you know, like this one here. I know it looks like there it says 25, 250 millimeter, but it's not right on the heart. You know, you can look here, see the angle of the grain. So you know it was about 2 slices below that was where the heart was, and probably the diameter was probably, well, like about 330 millimeter. Yeah, something like that. But think about this with trees. They start off as a sapling. When they first come up, they're a sapling, and then they keep growing each year, and they end up being a bloody tree. A tree. One day, some trees, but like if you get those teak trees from near the equator, that takes 300 years for one of them to become a tree from a sapling. 300 years. Right, but other trees, like you get radiata pine, which they grow as a plantation thing, from a sapling to a tree is like about 8 or 9 years. You know, but camphor, I reckon you probably got to wait about 30 years, you know, for an average camphor to go from a sapling to a fucking tree. Right, see this one here, like that one's 350 diameter. You look at the grain there and there, there's probably one above that was the heart of the tree. So it's about 360 millimeter through, that's all. But the problem is that when they're saplings, every year when the tree grows, this year's growth grows on the outside of the tree, below the bark. There's some new growth happening right underneath the bark. But then when the season cools off and the growth doesn't grow as rapidly, then all that layer that grew, which might have only been like, you look at the thickness of the ring, the width of the rings, you can't really tell on camphor because they grow every day of the year, right? But every time, even if it's a cold 2 weeks like around here, red cedar stops growing for about 3 weeks of a year, but that 3 weeks is when everything shrinks a bit and it pulls tighter on the growth that was there the year before, right back to the day it started growing. Everything gets a bit squashed as it shrinks and stops growing for, you know, like camphor's a bit of a mongrel because it grows every day of the year, but during the winter it grows a bit less every day than it does in the summer. So it's still getting the cold nights and it's still shrinking and pulling tighter upon all the growth that's happened previous. You know, like here it's shrinking, and which is actually they're all getting a bit more shrunken as it gets back. That's how it gets that squashed. You start off with sap like this white shit. It's not very dense. And then as it gets slowly, every year another layer grows, then these ones all get to shrink, but when they're shrinking, they're pulling a bit tighter on the whole log, you know, the round log. The whole log's getting a bit tighter, making it a bit more dense. So some trees, like I say, might be 8 or 10 years, where it's every year it's grown and it's squashed it enough that by about 8 or 10 years, you're getting to real wood by then. Before then, all this stuff in here near the middle, near the heart, which is like, you know, one slice above this one here, you can see the shape of the bloody rings. You know, the one above it here, look at this. Look, that there's pretty well the heart of the tree there. Right. So it gets more technical, but because you look at that, the heart to the edge is only like about 5 inches. But then if it was the heart to the other edge, right out here, it's like about 10 inches. So just with that alone, you've got a problem straight away. You've got all the growth happening on one side, the other side's in the dark. So the density of the grain on this side is a lot different to what it is on the sunny side where it's been growing a lot more. If you're looking real close here, you can see here where it stopped like for probably about a week or something, 1 year, and then the next year, it stopped there. See that little line? And then look at that, but it's like about 15 millimeters. It grew in 1 year on this side, which was probably the northeastern side. But on this side, where it's in the shade, it's like, yeah, you can't even tell. It probably only grew, you know, if you're looking at the ratio of, actually there is the heart, there to there is about 80 mil, but then there to there is about 280 mil. So it's all been alive at the same time. So what do you reckon? This side here has got a different density, and it's to this side of the tree, basically. But if you did leave this thing get bigger and thicker and get to about like 3 or 4 foot thick, doesn't matter. By that time, this quick growth on one side and slow growth on the other, over time it equalises out over time if you wait long enough. But if you're a prick and you want to just cut the first thing you see, which is only a little sapling, you just can't get the density that you need to make a good product. Simple, you know. But if you did wait another 20 years and knock this beast over, by then it'll be like about 700 diameter, double the thickness. But most of the grain inside the edges would be dense and stable and nice by then, because it's all been squashed a bit more every year when it grows, you know. But if you're a cock, what you do is you run out and look around for 300 diameter stems, you know, and call it a log, and then slab it up, and you get like 7 slabs. 5 of them have got heart in them because it's not much diameter, and then, well, 3 of them have got heart, and then the other 4 pretty well. 2 of them are just sap, so just white stuff like that. It's got no guts about it at all. It's got no oil in it yet because it hasn't been squashed, so it's not the same as heartwood. Heartwood's this coloured stuff, sapwood's the white stuff. So you're waiting to get the sapwood to get squashed, and then the oil comes to the bloody wood, into the wood, just by the way the tree grows. And then you're getting happier. The more heartwood you got, the less sap you got, the more stable the tree is. You know, like these ones are pretty good for small little fucking weedy looking things. You know, that one there's looking like it's got like about 3.5 inches of sap this side. The other side's got about 4 inches of sap, and then you got like about 6 inches of colour. You know, 350 diameter that was. When they chopped it, it was 350 mil diameter. You got to wait a bit longer to get proper good stuff. You know, like look at the shape of them even. All the shapes. And what it is this is actually only a branch that grew off a little short stump where they had like 4 antennas. And then they go, wow, I've got 4 logs. I've got 4 logs and they're 3 meters long each. Whoa.